topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good morning. Welcome to another Ask the Expert show where we bring you the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I am your host, Steve-O. We've got a great show for you this morning. I want to give a little caveat to the show. First of all, this show always ranks in the top 3 shows that we do. Doesn't matter what topic it is. So Dr. Elder Taylor, who is our expert, we actually start off in weight loss, and we've moved the show because he does functional medicine. And there's so many areas within functional medicine. And because we literally love Dr. Taylor, he is going to be doing his show starting next month in every one of our markets. And I got to tell you, whether it's weight loss or like today about how important sleep is, diet is, you will learn so much from Dr. Taylor. And we are so glad that he is going to be one of our major shows across the country. Good morning, Dr. Taylor.
Hello. Good morning. How are you guys doing?
I'm excited about our new function. It's actually going to be functional medicine because you have taught me and our listeners so much how important functional medicine is. You have, Dr. Taylor, you have the greatest story from where you started to where you are now. So let's start there. Tell people about your background.
Okay, yeah, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, and grew up there and went to Vanderbilt University in Nashville, and came to Atlanta to go to Emory University for medical school, and I did a residency in obstetrics and gynecology here at Emory, and I practiced like I was taught to do for about 7, 8, 9 years. Delivered babies, did Pap smears, did hysterectomies, did all that stuff. And gave out birth control pills and hormone replacement to menopausal women. And about 7, 8 years in, my wife, who's a physician too, she started having things that we consider to be hormone problems, irregular cycles and mood swings and, all kinds of stuff going on. And, I tried to help her like I'd helped my other patients that really wasn't working. And so I had a patient come in and ask me about natural or bioidentical hormones. And I really didn't know anything about it. That patient gave me a audio tape. And all of a sudden, listening to that 1-hour tape changed my life. It taught me how to measure hormones, and you do it through saliva. Told me the difference between natural hormones or hormones that your body makes and hormones that a drug company makes, and how different that was. And from that, it just opened my eyes to investigate other things that I may not have learned in medical school and residency. And then that just brought me, again, it changed my life. And so for the last 20 years, I've been practicing what I call functional medicine. And it's to help you to function as well as you can for as long as you can by making sure that your body has what it needs in order to function. It's kind of like a car. You can try and run that car on, secondhand parts or parts that really belong to another car or whatever, and it may go, but it's not going to function well. So You have to look at your body like a fine tuned machine, and it needs what it needs in order to run efficiently. So I hope I didn't take too long, but that's kind of how I
No,
got.
no, no. You know what? What you left out, which I know you wouldn't do.
Mhm.
My niece went to Emory. Emory is
Oh,
considered one of the finest medical schools in the country. So
yeah,
you didn't just go to a medical school; you went to one of
yeah.
the finest.
Well, this is what I'll tell you. I am not. Uh, I'm not against conventional medicine. Conventional medicine has its place. If you are sick, if you have a disease, then conventional medicine is where you need to go. If you need a C-section, yeah, you need to go and have obstetrician do the surgery and all that. You can't take a herb to do that. So, conventional medicine has its place, but there's this big gap that conventional medicine really can't fill, and that's the gap between being totally well and fully functional and being sick. If you are sick, then hey, that's where to go. But this gap in between, this is where conventional medicine, I'm sorry, this is where conventional medicine has, I think, has failed some of us, is because if you don't fit that disease box, then a lot of times the doctor will tell you that you're fine, but you're not well. So you're not here. They say you're not here. You're in the middle. So it creates frustration for both the physician and the patient, because the doctor is tired of you coming in complaining of things and he can't find a disease that you have. And the patient is upset that the doctor keeps telling them that they're fine and they know they're not fine. So that's where I come in. I try to figure out where they are in this gap and try and move them toward the I'm feeling fine or well or functional side, instead of waiting until they progress till I can put them in a disease box.
So we know our bodies. I mean, we
Mhm.
know and we feel, and for you out there who feel there's something not right about your body, you've been to several different types of doctors and they don't find anything. I think that's the best time to step in, that Dr. Taylor should step in,
Mhm.
because I'm telling you, I've seen it many a times. In fact, Dr. Taylor, I thought about you this morning. There was a show on an actress. Her name is Susan Lucci. She was from All My
Oh yeah.
Children. Did
I'm
you see
embarrassed
the
to say, but
article?
I used to watch that when I was growing up, because I had older sisters and they looked at soap operas. So I know Susan
Yeah.
Lucci well, yeah.
So she was diagnosed with cancer, and she
Mhm,
said what saved her life was
mhm,
eating the same three things every day. One of them was salmon, the other one
mhm.
was blueberries, and the other one was kale. And she said
Okay,
those three food items saved her life.
yeah. So what
That
what was
makes
the
sense.
first item? What was the first
The
item?
first salmon.
Okay. So yeah, salmon, she was getting good oils,
Yes.
omega 3, omega 9 oils. So that's probably what she was getting from there. The second was the blueberries. The blueberries is the best
Blueberries.
antioxidant. So it has more antioxidant activity than any other fruit. And then the third one was kale.
Kale.
Yeah, so kale has all these vitamins and minerals, and it's roughage, so it helps with what did they say what kind of cancer she had?
They did not say, but she said that she owes it all to those three food items, and she
Yeah,
still takes them every day. I don't
yeah,
know
and
how she does salmon every day. I would get tired of it.
yeah, yeah. So it's just I mean, cancer is a funny thing. It's all kinds of uh, uh, testimonials about people doing all kinds of different things, and some of them work. Now, a lot of times, I think what happens is patients will do some alternative thing, and sometimes it doesn't work, and sometimes it does. But that's the same thing with chemotherapy and radiation. If somebody
Right.
fails chemotherapy and radiation and they die, you say, oh, well, what do you expect? They had cancer. But if somebody does some alternate type of treatment and they may pass away, but they live a good quality of life all of those months or years, uh, what's the difference? So again, I had a sister who passed away in 2016, and I'm telling you that the chemo that she went through and all of the treatment that she went through for the last 5, 6, 7 years of her life, she was absolutely miserable. So that's got me interested in what can we do? How can I help cancer patients? So we do high dose vitamin C, we do melatonin, we do some testing to try and see if they still have residual cancers. So I'm not against chemotherapy. I'm not at all, but I'm going to tell you, doing some alternative things to help potentiate the chemotherapy to make it work better, to decrease the side effects. There are things that you can do to, even if you go the conventional method, to make life easier for people. I think a lot of times the oncologists are so fixated on getting rid of the cancer, they don't notice that they're also having the patient, suffer tremendously for, a questionable gain. So you have to look at the whole situation, I believe.
I we are still getting a lot of letters from people wanting to know about these injections. I want to tell everybody, I'm under a doctor's care for my kidneys. And so I was able to get this, it's not a new drug at all, this injection.
Mhm.
And I got it my insurance covered it because of my doctor
Yeah.
having a
Yeah.
medical problem. But
Mhm.
just want people to know I started on it, and we were just
Mhm.
talking about it before the show. I got to tell you, I hate needles, Dr. Taylor, hate them. But
Yeah.
I got to tell you, you don't even feel the needle going in. I had to make
Yeah.
sure it was
Yeah.
in. That's how
Yeah. Oops, I'm
you don't
sorry.
feel it.
Yeah. Let me turn this
So
up.
and I got to tell you, there's stuff in the news about complications from it. I've had no complications from it.
Yeah.
Um, it's a
Yeah.
wonderful drug.
Yeah.
It definitely works.
Mhm.
And I just want people, I think we're going to probably end up having to do a show just on that, just because the amount of letters. But I know,
Mhm.
which is the one that you recommend?
Well, so you're on Ozempic, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So Ozempic and Wegovy, they are both the they're a brand name of the drug semaglutide or the peptide semaglutide. So it's the exact same thing. Uh, so here's the difference is that semaglutide is the drug. Ozempic and Wegovy, they have patented a delivery system, those injectable pens that you have. So, but the
Yes.
actual underlying drug is now able to be a generic. So you can get it from compounding pharmacies. I get it from a compounding pharmacy because the uh, the insurance companies have really tightened down on who can use these drugs. You have to have
Yes.
a medical indication. You have to either be a type 2 diabetic or you have some type of uh, uh, other condition that is caused by weight that can have a direct connection
Yes.
with weight. And I'm going to tell you, most chronic illnesses have something to do with weight. Diabetes has something to do with weight. Heart disease has something to do with weight. Cancer has something to do with weight. So almost any chronic disease, uh, if you're overweight, is going to make it worse. So getting rid of the weight problem can help with hypertension, can help with cardiovascular disease, can decrease your risk of cancer, so it's all of these things. So uh, the insurance companies are trying to make sure that they get it to the patients who need it because they have a chronic illness right now. What you got to understand is that if you don't help people to lose weight before they have a chronic illness, you're just waiting until they get to the disease point. Then you give them the drug. So it makes more sense to help people lose weight at any time so that they never
Yes.
develop the chronic disease. But that's not how our medical system works. So I'm able to provide the drug through a compounding pharmacy. It's at a lesser price. And you're right, it works. And I'm telling you, if you can help a person to lose weight and you help them get their hormones straight, especially women, they will love you forever. I mean, it's nothing like, a woman that their hormones get out of whack, they gain 30, 40 pounds, they can't lose it, they're frustrated, they're going to the gym and nothing happens. Then, and if you can reverse that, you are very popular. So yeah, I'm a big believer in it. Yeah, it can have complications if you raise the dose too quickly. We have people come in every month. We do a body composition analysis to make sure that they're not losing muscle. We advise them on how they can improve their body composition. We're monitoring them for any kind of side effects like nausea and vomiting. And then, we adjust the dose if the side effects are too much. So, yeah. And this is what I will tell you.
Dr. Taylor, does
Uh-huh.
it work on the brain too? Because I've noticed now I'll look at food and it's almost like, ugh, you know?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah, it definitely does. It changes your relationship with food, and I think that's a long term effect where you used to, find joy in, oh, I can't wait to eat this strawberry cheesecake. You look at it now, I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't.
that's
Yeah.
right.
It definitely does. It does change your relationship with food, and that's the whole issue. We think about, obesity or whatever. It's this emotional attachment to food, and we develop that over time because what do we do on any occasion we want to go eat? Oh, let's go. It's Thanksgiving. It's all this. So we associate joy and happiness with food. And so if you're feeling down, you go and eat a strawberry cheesecake or whatever. So if you can break that attachment, then that seems to what these medications do. They seem to help break that attachment.
So my question to you is, I was always taught that if you ate more often, less on the plate, but more often, that it would help you to lose weight. But here, this really curbs your appetite.
Yeah, it definitely does.
So how does
You
that
know, so,
work?
well, it just slows down stomach emptying so that you feel full faster and longer. So that's the number one thing that it does, and that's why it can create some nausea and vomiting. If you eat too fast, you're going to just, you're going to build up the pressure in your stomach, and it's going to want to go up the other way since it's uh, uh, the emptying has been slowed down. So I tell patients, hey, look, when you start this and you make your plate of food like you always do, and you eat a fourth of it and you feel full, you need to stop. Don't say, oh God, oh wow, I can't waste this food. Let me go ahead and eat it all, because that your stomach can't handle it. So you need to eat when you feel that first full feeling. You stop and you go do something else for an hour or two, and then you come back and eat a little bit more. So you're kind of doing what you're talking about, eating smaller portions, more often. So that's the way to try and avoid the nausea and vomiting. So, and then also it drives glucose into the cells so you can actually burn it for energy instead of it being stored as fat. So that's why it lowers hemoglobin A1C. Hemoglobin A1C is looking at a 3-month history of how much glucose was in your blood. So that's what determines whether or not you're a type 2 diabetic. So what you want to do is make that glucose go into the cell. You can use it for energy. So even though you're eating less, your energy level doesn't go down because you're using the glucose more efficiently. And then the third thing is, I tell patients, it changes your brain. It really makes you not want to crave the things you used to crave or enjoy the things that you used to enjoy if they weren't necessarily good for you. So Yeah, I think it's an amazing uh, breakthrough because our number one problem, health problem in America for a long time has been obesity. And you can say it's cardiac disease, you can say it's cancer, but I'm going to tell you, all roads lead to obesity being associated with those top two killers, cancer and cardiovascular disease.
Well, I know it definitely hurt me with my high blood pressure, sleep
Mhm.
apnea, and you're
Yeah,
so
sleep
right
apnea,
that
yeah.
everything.
Mhm,
I mean, it's amazing what weight is the main flux of all this. Um,
mhm,
one of the other things that I'm hearing from people are, and they asked about why insurance companies would not make this available to more people because in the long run it's going to save them a lot of money, but I guess they don't look at it that way.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
you, Dr. Taylor, you have a, it's not just the injections, you've got many ways of to help people to lose weight. We were going to talk about sleep today, and I think it's an entire show because I have got friends of mine who are overweight, but they don't go to bed till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
and they
Yeah.
don't understand why they're never losing any weight. And I think
Yeah.
sleep is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Sleep is ultimately important. I tell all my patients, nothing that I do for you is going to work well if you don't sleep, because during sleep is when your body is going to take all those vitamins and minerals or whatever you might be taking. That's when it has time to say, hey, look, it's time to repair some things. What do we have available to us? Oh, yeah. Oh, here are these vitamins and minerals that you took, or IV that you did, or whatever. All right. So now let's start, storing away some energy or whatever. But if you don't sleep, it can't do that. Your immune system can't work if you don't sleep. And if your immune system is not working, inflammation can make these things called cytokines that can cause you to gain weight, store fat. You got to think. To just tell you, my daughter is sick. I went by there to try and help her. She's got a bad cold or flu or whatever. But when you're sick, what's the best way for you to get well? Is to go to sleep. And that's what she wants to do. She's like, I'm going back to bed, because your
Yeah.
body knows that, hey, you got to sleep in order for your immune system to work. If you're up going around, it doesn't have time to go out and find that bacteria and kill it. Also, if you don't sleep, it increases your risk of cancer, because there's something called natural killer cells, these special immune cells that go out, and their job is to look for cancer cells before they're able to proliferate. Also, if you don't sleep, that increases obesity, because, again, with sleep apnea and all that stuff, that causes a disruption in the homeostasis, and so you get an increase in cortisol, you get a increase in inflammation, and all of those things leads to weight gain, fat storage. So yeah, sleep is the utmost important, and there's no way for you to rejuvenate yourself and have energy for the next day if you don't rest and sleep. Here's some things that can cause problems with sleeping. Hormones is probably number one. You'll talk to a lot of menopausal women, and one of the first signs of menopause is that they can't go to sleep, or they go to sleep and wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and can't, go back to sleep. And that's primarily from this estrogen and progesterone imbalance causing an imbalance in these neurotransmitters. There's excitatory neurotransmitters that wake your brain up and so you can think and whatever. And then there's non excitatory neurotransmitters that help you go to sleep. Well, progesterone, which goes away at menopause, that is the one that is calming. And so a lot of times, because they don't have enough progesterone, they can't sleep. Because they can't sleep, and because they have too much estrogen, they gain weight, and then they gain weight, and then they can have sleep apnea, and then you just keep this snowball rolling downhill. So yeah, so that's one, cortisol being elevated. And I'm going to tell you a new one Steve, and this may be a little controversial. CBD and THC Delta 8 and Delta 9 gummies. Have you ever heard of those?
I've heard the gummies.
Yeah. So they have Delta 8. They have this type of THC that's not the same Delta that's in actual marijuana. But the cannabinoid system, which CBD and THC, you actually have receptors in the body for this. So that means that this is something that the body normally needs and uses for some reason. And the reason it uses those receptors is to calm down the nervous system, is to make it where the nervous system is overactive. So that's why they actually use marijuana, medical marijuana, for things like seizures, people for pain. You see these athletes, they take it because it decreases pain, because it slows down or it calms down the nervous system. So it uses it for anxiety, and also it helps with nausea and vomiting if people are on chemotherapy, whatever. Then, so the other thing it does, it calms down the nervous system so you can have a deeper, restful sleep, a less interrupted sleep. So I'm going to be honest with you, because first they say, doctor, heal yourself, correct? So probably for the last 4 or 5 years, I had a lot of trouble sleeping. I would go to bed what would happen is at 10 or 11 o'clock, I was just knocked out. I was just so exhausted, but I would wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning and couldn't go back to sleep. And on my little Apple Watch, I would wear to see if I was having restful sleep. And I wasn't. They have a sleep score of 200 to 700, and I was always in the 200s, 300s, 400s. So I was really concerned about it because I do know how important sleep is. Yes. So I started taking these THC Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies. And my sleep score went from 300s to the 600s consistently. I used to wake up a couple of times at night to go to the restroom, and then finally I just wake up. I usually sleep straight through for 7-8 hours. My sleep score is great. And there's another thing I do called a phase angle that looks at how well do you make new cells to replace old dying cells. That score jumped up by about 25%, because again, at sleep, that's when you're able to make new cells. That's when you're able to restore yourself, regenerate yourself. So we got very interested in it, and we started we found a company, and we started using it in our office. And actually in my supplement company, we have something called Delta Dreams, which are these gummies that, because I think sleep is so important, and because it changed my sleep pattern so drastically, we started using it, or offering to patients, and actually having it on our website. It's called Delta Dreams. And it works like a charm. So that was to tell you the truth, I always like to tell people about things that work for me, and we hardly do anything in our office that we haven't tried ourselves. So if somebody tells us about something,
Dr. Taylor, we're going to have to kind of continue with sleep again. Tell people how they can reach you.
Oh, okay. Time flies, doesn't it? Yeah, they can reach me at 678-443-4000, 678-443-4000, or on our website, taylormedicalgroup.net. And you can go online and you can book an appointment online at any time, or you can give us a call. So yeah, that's it. I'm sorry I was
we get mesmerized by listening to.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll see. You'll be back with us again next month. Okay. And God bless you, Dr. Taylor, and your family.
All right, great. Thank you. You guys have a great evening. All right, bye-bye.
That's Dr. Eldred Taylor. He's amazing. I'm telling you, he is amazing. Hey, that's it for us this week. We'll be back with you again next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.